Well, regrettably, that's not actually the music, but now I'm starting to think it should have been. There have been vaguer and shorter teasers that also did come out of Toei, but this one is up there. So that's all we have for right now. There are some very faint hints about perhaps plot, perhaps setting, perhaps something that are there that I will talk about, but most of this is just going to be me over analyzing stuff that may be completely inconsequential. So, without any more to do, why don't we get on with that, because that's the fun part. So we're going to use pictures for this because the actual video I have is a little low quality. I couldn't get a better one. But the first shot of the trailer is Jin standing in forest, looking confused. There's not much to this picture because while I do have a lot of dedication, I'm not going to try and hunt down a particular pair of trees in a particular forest somewhere in Japan. So here we are. The one interesting thing about this shot is that it comes with the voiceover of the unknown person saying, "I am here to retrieve you." Now, there are a couple of options for this voiceover. It sounds like an older man. That sounds so weird to say, but it does. So it could be Yotagaki. I'm not great with voices, but it sounds a little like him to me. The other option I was thinking of was Koronosuke, but that would be a super twist, and I'd have to, like, pull up his voice and try to compare it, and it wouldn't be great. There's, of course, the fact that this is a trailer, so we don't necessarily know that that line is being said in this particular scene. Maybe Jin's just confused because, I don't know, he realized he left the stove on. So that's definitely a possibility, but the line itself is what makes it very suspicious because, I mean, hopefully they're not retconning that Hirobi was the one who created Jin, and I think just for the sake of my own sanity, I'm gonna go off of a basis in this video that they are not retconning that. So presuming that they are not retconning that, why would somebody be here to retrieve Jin? Now that does raise the possibility of it being Yotagaki, saying that, like, oh, you know, we rebuilt you and you didn't do what we told you to do, which was to, you know, kill your dad, because we kill abuse victims here. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get salty. The other possibility is Koronosuke, because especially if you still go by the assumption that Hirobi created Jin, and that something happening with that may have kicked off Hirobi falling to the Ark, and then Daybreak, and then da-da-da-da-da-da-da, everything else. There's a possibility that maybe something happened like Hirobi created Jin, but then Yotagaki, or not Yotagaki, then Koronosuke, I'm getting my shady old men mixed up, but then Koronosuke found out, and maybe reacted badly, because the impression we get from his interactions with Will in the movie is that he's not exactly as great a guy as some people seem to want us to think he was. I know Wazoo sang his praises, but Wazoo clearly, I think, had a similar issue that I see with Izu, that he only saw one side of the person, and he just believed that that side was absolutely true, which it's not. There's a lot more complicated stuff than that. And I think that there's definite possibility that Koronosuke could have reacted badly. I don't know if he would have been, like, expressly tried to kill Jin. I think he may have, like, tried to pressure Hirobi into making Jin be beneficial to humans or something, or to exist for humans in some way, or just to fit in to his little box that he believes Humagear need to be in, and that he's kind of passed on in the family line of believing that Humagear are in this box, and that's what's good. And Hirobi may have taken badly to that, and the Ark kind of gets her claws in and manipulates that. When Jin first shows up, he makes a comment, and Naruto asks him who he is. He makes a comment that he might be, I think it's like, the pioneer of the new world, or the leader of the new world. And then later, when he's talking to Naruto after he comes back, he makes a comment about, I realized that ruling over my friends would make me the same as humans. So somebody put in his head this idea that he's gonna rule the new world. And, I mean, I may be talking just completely off base here, but my guess would be that was Hirobi. Because the interpretation I actually have is that perhaps Hirobi wanted his child to be free. He wanted his child to be able to be raised and live like any other human. But the humans didn't want that. Especially Koronosuke. Koronosuke didn't want that. A Humagear living completely independently. So he reacts badly to that and tries to pressure Hirobi to fit Jin into something, or maybe he does threaten to take Jin away. Maybe he's like, oh, the world's not ready, decides the world's not ready because Jin's isn't a link in the chain. So Hirobi is very upset by that. The Ark comes in and is like, oh, he's never going to be able to be free as long as humans exist. We need to get rid of humans if he's ever going to be free, and basically just takes advantage of a parent's willingness to do anything for their child, which I think is like an amazing tragedy that I so wish they'd gone into, and maybe they intended to, maybe they still intend to, but it's just that's always, I wasn't particularly into Kamen Rider Wizard, but that was a very powerful thing that I felt they had there, was that ultimately the motivation was love. A parent's willingness to do anything for their child can take them to dangerous levels, and that's a really powerful thing. But I'm digressing. The Arc may have sort of transformed this idea of wanting to create a world where Jin can be free to wanting to give Jin the world. Jin to Hirobi is this epitome, this extremely important integral existence. And Hirobi wants to keep him free, he wants to keep him independent, and the Arc twists him and manipulates him into believing that the only way that can happen is if Jin's the ruler of the New World. But once again, I'm going completely off base. The point is that that's why what could be going on, if that's Koronosuke, is saying, I have come to retrieve you like I intended to retrieve you and repurpose you, 13 years ago, and got prevented from doing so. And anyway, this come to retrieve you line leads me to kind of, jokingly, I'm not assuming anything, but jokingly guess that we might be getting a kind of Taken plot where someone kidnaps Jin and the other three have to go save him. I'd kind of love Jin being the princess in the castle after all the screen time and focus he got in the TV show. Jin is Peach. Just put Jin in Princess Peach dress. Oh god, no. No, I'm probably going to delete that. No one needs to see that. But I think it's a definite possibility that we might have someone either trying to kidnap Jin or kidnapping Jin, and the others responding to that. Alright, next up in the list is Naki, and to be completely honest, I also don't have much to say about this, because, they are in a location. Going by what we saw of the I'm Space in the show, this could very easily be the I'm Space. It's just about as poorly kept as the MBJR hideout, so who knows? They are still in their suit in this picture. That's their I'm suit. That's their post-series suit. They're not back in their coat and their white shirt, which they are later in the trailer, and they are on the poster, but they are not here. So this indicates, like with Hirobi, which I'll mention later, that they are appearing in both outfits in the show. No clue why or when they change, but apparently they do. So there's really not much to say here, like I said. I don't have many ideas or interpretations about Naki because they weren't really around much. I don't feel like they got much characterization in the show, but they do have a lot of potential to be a very interesting character. Goodness knows Nakayama is amazing. They're a really great actor, and they really deserve a chance to give this character a character. I can't really think of much to pinpoint here. To be completely honest, my guess is actually that they might be in the I'm Space, because if you look really closely, is that a whiteboard behind them? I don't see that in the MBJR base. There's some sort of helmet thing that doesn't look like any of the MBJR helmets on the chair back there. What we saw of the I'm Space kind of had those concrete walls too, so who knows, maybe they're back in the basement. We're taking a tour of the places where Hirobi got locked up. I don't know. But I think the main interesting points to me is that at my first guess, I think they might be in the I'm Space, or perhaps at another location that has concrete walls. The I'm Space and MBJR hideouts do not have the monopoly on concrete walls, but I think the most interesting things are that there's a strong chance they could be in the I'm Space, and that they are in their post-series outfit. And when we get to the next picture, I'll talk about why I think that's interesting. So on the tail end of Naki in their post-series outfit, we have Ikuzuchi in his not post-series outfit. However, you can tell that this is still post-series because he still has the new model earpieces. So looking at this, like, he's clearly in his MBJR outfit, which he didn't wear much, so it's nice to see it again. He also looks very serious. There's no real telling what's going on here. Actually, all of them, kinda with the exception of Hirobi, have pretty stoic expressions in this series of shots. So, at most, they look kinda like there's something very serious going on, which, you know, could be a lot of things. Ikuzuchi is in another location, but it's again very fuzzy. The most we've got is in that little bit on the left corner. There's some sort of light on. Looks like there's some posters on the on some sort of board behind him, but for the life of me, I can't be sure where this is. It doesn't look like anything hidden, because hidden is usually like glossy and shiny and stuff like that. So I don't think he's in any of the hidden locations, unless he's hanging out in the Toei warehouse again. Hidden secretly has like an old rundown warehouse hidden somewhere in the back. So, we've got Ikuzuchi, looking very serious. He's in his outfit, his MBJR outfit, and again, like with Naki, we don't really know the context, what's going on, when does this take place in the film? Is this like, is he reacting? No, I don't think he'd be reacting to being told that Jin had been kidnapped, because he's already in the other outfit. Naki, it's possible that, like, Hirobi rolls up at their workplace and is like, hey, someone kidnapped my son, but Ikuzuchi is already in his MBJR outfit, which would seem to indicate that he already knows something's going on. He's already made a decision to, you know, jump back in with them. So it's really hard to tell what might be going on here, because, like I said, the background's pretty fuzzy, it's dark. He's just standing there looking extremely pretty. There's that thing in the right-hand corner, and I'm not sure what it is that I should have mentioned when I was pointing out the other stuff, but it's very, like, not much going on. As far as Ikuzuchi as a character, like, I am very interested in what his and Hirobi's backstory is. I feel like they could have a very interesting one, especially after, like, the fact that apparently restoring his memories meant that they were able to find out about Hirobi being based on Soryo's data. Like, why would Ikuzuchi know that unless he knew him before? Did Ikuzuchi know Hirobi? Did he know Soryo? What was Soryo's deal in all of this? So it's all very, like, interesting, and Ikuzuchi, like Naki, lost a good share of his screen time. He appeared for one episode and died in it, and then even when he came back, came back right before the hiatus, and then they found out they only had 5 episodes left. So, both him and Naki, honestly him a little more than Naki, though to be honest I feel like he had a bit more characterization, but both of them got their focus really cut down. So I'm hoping we'll go into them a bit in this V-Cinext, I can't say the name properly, and that they'll be able to get in some good focus and stuff like that. Hopefully, we may get into their past a bit. To be honest, Ikuzuchi might be the one we know the most about his past out of all of MBJR. He's the one whom we know the most about, in a way. We don't know the details. Like, for instance, we don't know what his specific relationship with Hirobi would have been. And, we don't know if they knew Naki, too, in the past. Actually, him and Naki have some really amazing chemistry. Yamaguchi and Nakayama had some really amazing chemistry, and I'm be really excited to see them get together and do things again. To be honest, all 4 of Metsuborai, as I like to call them, had some really great chemistry, so hopefully they'll get, like, an active part in the V-Cinext, and it won't just be about Jin. If I sound like I'm dying of, suffocation or something, it's because I'm not dying. Let's leave it at that. I'm, for some reason, having a little trouble breathing. It's because I'm getting really emotional. I'm not dying. I promise. I don't have much to say, except that other than the fact that I really hope we're going to get more into his character, his past, like their interworkings. Like I said, I feel like Jin got a lot of the focus in the show, so I'd be really excited to get more of these 3's backstories and how they know each other, how they came together, because they come across as much more the founding members of MBJR, whereas Jin's kind of like the baby. He's the anomaly, he's the special one. So these 3 really seemed like the adults, where you've got, like, Ikuzuchi's, like, the rock, the hardcore, and Hirobi, I know people will really want to say it's Naki, but Hirobi is more the heart. He's, like, the sort of, like, beating center, whereas, like, Naki is the, Naki is, like, the kind of techie one, they're the sneaky spy one. Kind of reminds me of this quote from a show called Killjoys, which is, you lead, I shoot, Johnny gives a shit. Except that with these 3, it would be more like Naki spies, I yell, you give a shit. Ikazuchi talking to Hirobi. So yeah, I'm interested to have more interaction between those three. Those three have some really great chemistry, especially just everyone with Ikazuchi. Yamaguchi is one of those actors who just oozes chemistry, apparently. But I actually want to talk about other scenes in this trailer, so I'm gonna cut this here, and then we'll move on to the next shot. Alright, hardest challenge I have ever set myself. If I want to get this all in one video, I'm not allowed to talk about Hirobi very much. We all know how hard that's going to be. Fortunately, there's not much you can get from this shot. He's just standing in front of a bare concrete wall. To be honest, he's one I would place in the MBJR hideout. I am not going to pretend that the wall looks familiar, but I think it's a definite possibility. Otherwise, I have no clue where he is. The one thing he is doing is, like Naki, he is actually wearing his post-series outfit, which is slightly less interesting than Naki, because in the scene that I will hopefully get to after this, he is also wearing this outfit, whereas Naki is back in their MBJR clothes. Yeah, really the only thing we've got is he's gorgeous and he's standing in front of a concrete wall. Hirobi has a little more expression than the other two. They're kind of blank, very serious, maybe slightly surprised or concerned. Hirobi looks a little like he's glaring, which I actually jokingly, and if I have time, I may stick it on the end of this video, took the if you let my daughter go, I will not pursue you speech from Taken, and I put it on this picture because it was too perfect. Basically, the way he's glaring does kind of reinforce my joke idea that this is going to be a Taken plot where someone kidnaps Jin and the others have to go save him, because honestly, one thing that would drive Hirobi back to fighting would be someone messing with his baby, because we all know how important Jin is to him. I mean, I guess he, like, fights in the movie, but, I think, like, one thing that would set him off into being able to be angry again, because I mean, I'm not going to go into it, that's not the point of this video, but I have a few opinions about how Hirobi got handled at the end of the series, but, like I said, not the point of this video. Basically, he's just standing there, glaring, looking gorgeous, in front of a wall, so unfortunately there isn't much I can take from this. I may just be prolonging this moment just because I like looking at this picture, but I'm gonna cut myself off now, and we'll move on to the actual interesting part. Okay, how fast can I talk? Alright, so pretty much all we can see here, everybody's back in there. Well, Naki and Ikazuchi are back in their MBJR clothes. Everyone's looking at Hirobi because he's the one talking. This is a holy war scene with some nice katana action. I really wanted to get emotional about some stuff in the scenes, but I guess I'm gonna have to save that for another video because I can't keep myself under control. Basically, the most interesting thing I think we've got here there are two things, and I'm not sure I can fit them into this video and still keep it under 20 minutes. So I think we're gonna test and find out if YouTube will let me upload longer videos. Basically, what immediately jumps out to me is the Zaya logo on the containers behind them. So this indicates they're in the Zaya warehouse, and that potentially either the villain is from Zaya, or Zaya is going to be involved somehow, which isn't surprising. The other thing which I teased about at the end of my previous video is look closely at what's on Jin's wrist. Hey! That key looks slightly familiar. Now, when I was making that video analyzing the ad stuff for the mask brain key and the add-on, I mentioned repeatedly that I had a suspicion that if they are fusing, who might be the container. And going by the fact that it is hanging off of Jin's wrist, I would say we have a pretty good guess that it's gonna be Jin. Now, why exactly he has this key, we don't know. We don't know where it came from. Did MBJR make it? Did the villain make it and give it to Jin? Is that why he was kidnapped? Was he even kidnapped? I don't know. I've been making that up. So yeah, that is pretty much the interesting parts of this shot. I mean, obviously we've got Hirobi being dramatic and amazing and going, this is a holy war. But other than that, as far as plot goes, those are really the standout parts. And I think what I'm probably going to have to do is at some point make a video about Jin and Hirobi's relationship and just go in about what I was going to talk about there, because it was really about them and stuff like that. And so ends my over-analysis of the trailer where I don't actually talk about the trailer that much. That got really rushed at the end, and I apologize for that. Fortunately, there really isn't much in that shot aside from those two facts, and I already went into a lot of stuff when I was talking about the analysis of the equipment and stuff before, so there wasn't much else to go into. Yeah, otherwise there's just the clothing changes, who's holding the key, and that logo in the background. But otherwise, I'm gonna cut this off here, and I'll see if YouTube will let me upload it. Also, I'm gonna see if I can stick that little joke at the end.